Adelabu. And according to the Minister of Power, Adelabu actually highlighted the project capacity to power over 1,300 households, clinics, schools, small businesses, independently of the national grid. And this is a laudable one from the Minister of Power. And he went on to express the government's commitment to expanding such across the country. And also, while on a tour, which started in Oyo State, he visited the 132 kV substation in Oyo and Ogbomosho. So, looking at this, the minister have actually talked about the solar mini grid, which is set to power this amount of households and businesses in the underserved communities in the country. The truth is, whether we like it or not, this is even the fact. You can actually Google it and find out that a lot of communities are not even connected to the power grid or the national grid. And you get to ask yourself, for those doing business within these particular communities, how do they cope with power? Because they don't have power in their houses. They don't even have power to, power their businesses in the first place. So this one is a laudable one from the minister. At least these underserved communities can now have access to electricity. The clinics where people go to take treatment and all of that, they are also being powered by this mini solar grid. So it's a great one, but we hope to see the minister do more. And of course, let me actually give a shout out or a thumbs up to the minister under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We've seen them, doing having some milestone achievements, cutting across several ministries.
Simeon, I think it's too early to give them a kudos yet. I mean, it's good to have great ideas, but the execution upon completion is where we will now say, okay, well done. Because we've had ministers, we've had a lot of politicians who have promised Nigerians a lot of things. They've told us, $1 to ₦1, different things, very, very commendable things that they've promised.
Very true.
It's one thing to promise, it's another thing to bring to fruition those promises, and that's what we're waiting for. Nigerians, we can talk.
The truth is,
we have great ideas.
I understand that. The truth is, when we talk about power, generation in the country, if you actually check the figures and the statistics, you realize that solar energy is one form of clean energy that's not effectively utilized by the Nigerian government. We're heavily dependent on gas-powered, energy. And according to Adilaba, I think I saw a report where he said Nigeria depends on gas. That's the thermal plants, and of course that is about 70.5% of what generates power for Nigerians. And outside the thermal plant, which is gas, there's also the hydro, which generates about 27.3%. Only 2.2% are being utilized of solar power. So we would love to see the minister do more when it comes to power generation. Let's move beyond gas-powered electricity generation. Let's move beyond. Yes, hydro is good. And of course, we need to see more dams. Till today, we are talking about government building more dams. Dams is not just to control water. Dam can also power a country as well. So we have other countries that utilizing other sources of power generation. We are not. When we talk about wind energy, we have
not even begun to scratch the surface
in this
of that.
country.
Well, at this point in time, Simeon, I think it's great that we're having technocrats, we're having visionaries who are heading different ministries at the moment, right? But it's one thing to do that. It's good to have a good leader, but is everyone under that same vision? Anyway, we'll see everything unfold as the time goes on, but let's take a break, pay some bills. When we come back, we'll be looking at other sectors of the economy. Do stay tuned. We'll be back in just a moment.
VOP 96.1 FM.
Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as birthday line array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less. The award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and Coldberry ice cream. Delight in every school. Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and Coldberry ice cream. At number 4, Obomosho Street, Area 8, Geriki, Abuja. Or 3rd Avenue, Gwaripa, Abuja. Or Federal Housing Estate, Phase 2, Lube, Abuja. Call 0908-831-5906 or 0908-831-5908 or 0909-238-9861. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at romeospizza.ng. Website www.romeospizza.ng. Romeo, the pizza champions.
We have been serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at VOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. VOP TV, show up, speak up.
Are you traveling to Lagos and desire a perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you are traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pickup and drop from the Lagos airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me. Glory to God and to the Lamb. Beauty to the throne of eternity.
Brotherhood of the Cross and Star presents the Everlasting Gospel Movement on Radio every Saturday, 6 to 7 p.m. on 96.1 FM.
Adoration, adoration, adoration to God forevermore.
It is time for spiritual rejuvenation, the mortification of the physical being. It's a whole new experience on radio. Tune in and be blessed. Thank you, Father.
Adoration, adoration.
This is not just another radio on your dial. This is
Voice of the People, 96.1 FM, Abuja.
You're welcome back. This is still Business Around Town on Voice of the People 96.1. 38 minutes gone past the hour of 9 o'clock. My name is still Simeon Sunday.
We're still checking out a couple of headlines. Guess here is my name, by the way. And right now we're looking at the Naira, the behavior of the Naira at the moment in the Forex market. And Naira depreciates to 1,265 Naira to a dollar in the parallel market. The Naira yesterday fell to 1,265 per dollar in the parallel market from 1,260 Naira per dollar from last week Friday. However, the Naira depreciated to 838.95 Naira per dollar in the Nigerian Foreign Exchange Market, NAFEM. Now, data from the FMDQ showed that the indicative exchange rate of NAFEM fell to 838.95 Naira per dollar from 890.54 Naira per dollar last week Friday, indicating a 51.59 Naira appreciation for the Naira. Consequently, the gap between the official and the parallel market exchange rates widened to 426.05 Naira per dollar yesterday from 369.46 Naira per dollar last weekend. We're seeing the difference between the parallel market and the forex market. We're seeing that there's still that difference, which is what the policy was supposed to do, help us unify the exchange rate, and we're not seeing that happen. But we're hoping that as the year moves on, as businesses trade, we're hoping that the policy would take a full-fledged effect in our economy at the moment.
And also, let's talk about the stock market, where the stock market defies inflation reports as index crosses 84,000 mark. And according to the report, Nigeria's stock markets just yesterday, which was Monday, defied the report on inflation as investors' interest in equities pushed the benchmark performance index above the 84,000 mark. And the National Bureau of Statistics inflation report came in with inflation exceeding 18-year high to hit 28.92% in December, up by 72 basis points from the 28.21% which we saw in November 2023. And at the Nigerian Exchange Limited, that's the NGX, investors buy sentiment in favor of stocks like PZ Cuisines, as well as Mansard and Chams help push market higher by 1.92%. Listed stocks value rose by 874 billion naira at the close of trading. And the Nigerian Exchange Limited all share index and market capitalization increased from preceding trading days at about 83,042.96 points and 45.442 trillion naira respectively to 84,640.89 points and 46.316 trillion naira. And of course, looking at that as well, it has been said that PZ Cuisines increased most from 29.50 naira to 32.45, adding 2.95 naira or 10%. Whereas Mansard increased from 5 naira 90 kobo to 6 naira 49 kobo, adding 59 kobo or 10%. While Champs rose from 2 naira 30 kobo to 2 naira 53 kobo, adding about 23 kobo or 10%. So looking at this particular figures and the details, despite the inflation figures we've seen right now, the stock market is defying this inflation at the floors of the stock, at the stock market at the moment.
All right, still in economy, we're having Nigeria's problem is low exports and not high imports. Nigeria's problem is low exports and not high imports. We'll look at that in just a moment. We're still seeing inflation nearing 30% as uncertainty clouds MPC meeting. Inflation rises 30% as uncertainty clouds MPC meeting. I'll check that out in just a moment. But Nigeria's problem is low exports and not high imports. wherever you look, imports or exports, Nigeria is punching well below its weight. Now, Business Day's report on Monday says that Nigeria is import dependent is trying to debunk that particular myth that Nigeria is import dependent by analyzing the country's imports to GDP ratio, and it has generated widespread reactions from Nigerians who were already in the know and others who argued on the contrary. Now, looking at that, you're looking at the top 5 countries by exports to GDP ratio, including Nigeria. You're looking at Luxembourg is number 1 with the highest level of exports to GDP ratio based on what they export and how it affects their gross domestic product, And you're looking at Hong Kong, Singapore, San Marino, Seychelles, and Nigeria is number 6 on that particular list. And you begin to wonder, okay, is this making a lot of sense? It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but based on the research, Nigeria exported goods worth $47.23 billion in 2022, according to the World Bank, which is equivalent to about 10.7% of the country's gross domestic product. And looking at the exports to GDP ratio, Nigeria versus African peers, you're looking at Morocco, Algeria, South Africa, Egypt, Kenya, and Nigeria at 10.7. Now, what this means for our economy, we're hoping to see more and more and more, since we have agreed that Nigeria's problem is low in exports and not high imports. We're hoping to see more and more industrializations of the different sectors of the economy to help us at least galvanize our strengths in what we're exporting and what we're giving out as a country.
Very true, because based on this report where it is said Nigeria's problem, is low export and not even high import. Yes, the fact is true that Nigeria, our import is really high, but when you balance it, out with the export ratio, it balances the economy solely. And looking at this statement, it is necessary that we find a way to balance the ratio of import to exports. We have actually said it on this platform a couple of times that Nigeria is solely an import economy. We import everything, so as low as toothpick. Even earbuds are imported. If we have a lot of bamboo sticks and raffias, across the country, we cannot even produce as little as toothpick. And when you tell people who are even want to invest in toothpick production locally, they tell you it's even cheaper to import than produce locally here in the country. So there are a lot of factors that that influences the rate of exportation, because when we don't produce, you cannot when there's nothing to produce, what do you export?
Exactly.
So there's nothing to export. So it's about time we start developing our economy. It's about time we start empowering business in the country, because at the end of the day, most of those people who are into businesses, they are there for profit. And when they do their business analysis, they check everything, and they realize that it is even cheaper to import and sell than produce locally. Because when you talk about the cost of power, just today I saw the report of Tunji, stating that there will be an increment in tariff and all of that. So when you look at not Tunji Ojo, sorry, the Minister of Power himself, saying that's Adilabu, saying there will be increment in the cost of tariff. So when you put all of this together, now most businesses do not even operate on power anymore. They now heavily depend on diesel. They run their production on diesel. So when
they have to install very expensive solar
to carry their equipment. So when you look at all of this, the cost of even production is now expensive. So what the government ought to do, so we see a balance in the importation and exportation ratio, is empower businesses, cut them some slack, reduce tariff, reduce importation rates for these people, because most of them import raw materials to produce locally. So when this is not available to them, we'll always see this, and importation will always be our problem, our challenge in this country.
All right, so we're seeing inflation nearing 30% as uncertainty clouds MPC meeting. Inflation nears 30% as uncertainty clouds MPC meeting. Nigeria's headline inflation rate edged closer to 30% in December on the back of higher transport costs and weaker naira, even as it remains uncertain when the next meeting of the rate setting committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria will take place. Now, the inflation rate rose for the 12th straight month to a 20-year high of 28.92% from 28.2% in November, according to the NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics. Now, the Monetary Policy Committee last met in July when it increased the benchmark interest rate for the 8th straight time to 18.75% to tackle rising inflation. Now, the CBN had yet to communicate whether the meeting would be held this month as of the time of filing this report. Now, aggressive interest rates hikes are long overdue to bring inflation under control and also to help the Naira achieve some semblance of stability. David Omojomolo, Africa economist at Capital Economics, said. Now, according to him, the longer the CBN remains missing in action, the stronger the evidence that President Bola Tinubu's policy shift is going in reverse. At the next meeting, we think that the CBN will need to raise rates by 400 basis points to 22.75% to show that it's taking the inflation fight more seriously. There's a clear risk, though the CBN underwhelms again.
Wow. Okay, and away from that, when we talk about business, we sometimes get to talk about manpower, and that's the provision of jobs. So let's talk about this report, which is according to the IMF, that's the International Monetary Fund, that 40% of global jobs are currently at risk, and this is due to artificial intelligence impact. And the IMF has said that nearly 40% of jobs globally will be influenced by AI, with advanced economies expected to experience a higher impact compared to emerging markets and low-income, nations. IMF Managing Director Kristalina Georgieva expressed concern in a Bloomberg report, stating that in most cases, AI is likely to exacerbate overall inequality. And of course, still on the statement by the director of managing director of IMF, she actually said income inequality effect will likely depend on how much the technology complements high earners, and more productivity from high income workers and companies will boost capital returns, widening the wealth gap, Georgieva said. And countries should provide comprehensive social safety nets and retraining programs for vulnerable workers. This is part of the statement she made. And looking at this, part of it is that even for advanced economies, they may have about 60% of jobs affected at the end of the day, while globally, talking about both advanced and non-advanced economies, it will affect 40% of those jobs as well. Nigeria, in this case, where we talk about Nigeria is a growing economy, an emerging economy in the world right now, even though what we talk about this is the capital or business capital of Africa, basically. But looking at it, AI will definitely affect a lot of things
in Nigeria,
especially
really, Simeon, we've not even begun to scratch. We've not even begun to smell what AI can do in Nigeria.
Let me explain to you.
Our ministries are still using papers.
Not all ministries.
Okay, let me say
not
majority. All. Majority of them are still using papers. We're still filing the old way. A lot of them are still not being able to use a normal system, right? We're seeing a lot of that. Even though we're seeing some ministries trying as much as they can to upgrade their staff to at least learn how to use systems and all that, notwithstanding. But is Nigeria even among this demographic, this global jobs at risk? Are we even near there when it comes to this data?
Yeah, luckily, when you look at it from a fish eye point of view, that you're not looking at it holistically, you might feel Nigerians might not be affected because we're still emerging and we really do not understand. We're still only yet to understand certain technologies and how they work. But on a global space, let's look at it globally. Other economies that have adapted AI into their workforce, into their government, even into their monetary policies, you see them churning more. When you look at their GDP ratio, you see an increment in that. But when it comes to Nigeria, when we still start doing things manually, locally, without infusing AI has made it so easy, especially for those in the financial market. AI can predict certain things, especially for you, business, tell you what to invest in, even countries, what you should invest in, what you should do. So when you don't have these technologies to drive your economy, to tell you certain things to invest, even as a country or as a business person, you lose in the global markets. you cannot earn the percentage you earn in the global market is minimal. While those advanced countries that have actually utilized this, they understand how to infuse this into every part of the economy. They are the ones living fat, and you still remaining and borrowing from the advanced countries. So it has a global effect, not just looking at it from the local point of view or here in Nigeria, without looking at the global. Because at the end of the day, Nigeria is part of the globe. It's part of the world. So whatever you do here, it affects the global economy. And whatever is done in the global economy affects us at the end of the day. So let's consider
It's so tiny. It's so tiny, the effects that we would
Nigeria's
have.
effect, right? That's why we need to have a minister of communication and ministers that are very smart, that are technology driven. They have the technical know-how to infuse all of this in every aspect of our economy.
All right, I think we're wrapping up the show at this moment, but I'd like to just touch up on this particular headline because we're seeing a rising case of insecurity in Abuja. A lot of people have been complaining and talking about kidnappings here and there. It's within the past few days there's been a lot of cases of kidnappings, and we're seeing the minister of the FCT, Wike, ordering the arrest of streetlight vandals in the FCT. Now, if you are one of those people who make money or derive joy off of vandalizing public property, right, just beware, because Wike has ordered the arrest of streetlight vandals within the FCT. The minister of the FCT has directed security agencies to track and apprehend criminals responsible for vandalizing streetlights in Abuja. Now, the secretary of the Command and Control Center in the DSS under the FCT, Dr. Peter Olumuji, shared this detail in an interview with NAN on Monday in Abuja. Now, he noted that on assuming office as the FCT minister, Wike emphasized the significance of reinstating streetlights, making it a key priority to illuminate the city and enhance Abuja's image as a fitting capital. Now, I'm not even looking at it aesthetically. I'm looking at security wise. Just a couple of days ago, my car broke down on the express, and that particular stretch from you're looking at from Bega straight down to Area 1, that particular stretch, there was no electricity on the street lights. So imagine I'm a lady and I'm stuck in this kind of place, poorly lit. Anything can happen. Already, we're vulnerable individuals as ladies, right? We're vulnerable. In fact, even everyone is vulnerable at this point in time. But now look at the fact that there's no lights to even at least be seeing who is attacking you, seeing where you're going. Do you understand? It's really, really bad. So I guess people just have to be very careful at this point.
Truly.
In time.
Anyway, let me just come in here for the word vulnerable for women. Don't allow the Feminist Council of Nigeria come for you for using vulnerable for them.
That's their bloody business. I'm joking. But at this point in time, you have to understand that vulnerable, quote unquote, is not it's not necessarily I mean that we're not as strong as a
You
guy.
don't have to defend it. Women are vulnerable at the end of the day. So are men and children. We understand it when it comes to wars and all of that. Women and children are the most vulnerable. So it's a global, phenomenon. It's not only here in Nigeria. But when we talk about security and street lights, for those of us who come to work, you and I, when we come to work very early in the mornings, you realize that most stretches of the FCT, you don't even have power in there. And you go there, you see that people have even removed the wires. They've removed the cables to sell. Now, my problem is not only with the vandals itself. My problem is with people who are in all these areas where pantakers are, who buy this cable from those people. You see someone, a young, chap maybe in his teenage age or in his 20s or 30s or 40s, bringing an armored cable for you to sell, or is bringing to sell to you. The first thing that should come to mind, I think I must say, I must give the Nigerian police kudos. I think an uncle of mine in the FCT was carrying metal to go to Pan to sell. He deals on he's an industrial welder. So with some of the scrap, he wanted to sell it. And then the police stopped him on the road and asked him, where are you coming with this piece of metal from? Do you have a written note to that effect, maybe from the owner, that, you are permitted to sell this and all of that? So when we see Nigerian police and even citizens, even those who buy these things from those people, start taking responsibility, these vandals will keep operating, because at the end of the day, there's a market for the vandals.
Yes.
They go somewhere to sell.
If it's not
Who are those
sellable, then
buying?
obviously they won't steal it. All right. Thank you so much for listening to Business Around Town. My name is Gesere Agua.
My name is Simeon Sunday.
We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of the Business Around Town. But don't forget that your morning ride starts from 6 a.m. right down to 11 a.m. You're in for 1 hour of uninterrupted music. Trust me, it's going to be very, very entertaining. All you have to do is keep